okay.
It's true. It's true.
Hello, everybody. You are a unique individual with the power to change lives just by being who you are, sharing your wisdom, and telling your story. Welcome, everybody, to Jen's Pen Live, where we find interesting people who are making the world a better place and ask them to share their story. Today, we are talking to Rachelle McCloud. Rachelle is a mental health therapist. She's an emotional wellness coach, and she is helping people do the brain work of getting the symptoms under control of depression, anxiety, and traumatic stress, right? Got it. So that's something near and dear to my own heart. That's something I talk a lot about. So welcome to the show, Rachelle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So let's just jump into it. Rachelle, how did you get to where you are now? Why do you do what you do?
Yeah. Let me turn my fan off.
Yes.
So we don't have to hear that. I was I've had mental health crises, and I really needed to be able to make the symptoms stop.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody who doesn't want to drag symptoms around. I have 5 children. Back then, when I had my last mental health crisis, I had 3 children under 3. And I just could not stay stuck. I could not stay managing the symptoms. It's a full-time job. I didn't want that full-time job. And I was already a therapist. I had quit therapy because I was bad at it. I was so mad at the whole field. I was like, this is so stupid. I can't believe I have a whole degree in this.
I feel that. I feel you.
So here I was, and I just was recently diagnosed with Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder, which was the beginning of me discovering that I really had complex childhood trauma from like a long line of people with complex post-traumatic stress. So I had gotten through some mental health crises before that through just crying. I didn't know at the time that crying is a wonderful intervention that the brain uses to, move the emotion and actually process emotion. And so but it takes a while. And so I would go on crying episodes for weeks. But this time it was just way bigger. It really shut my whole life down, and I really could not solve basic problems, which is the same process that resolves symptoms. The same brain process also it's the end result of it is to solve problems in your life. It's the growth process, and it's the healing process. And when it completes it, there's no need for symptoms of anxiety, depression, or traumatic stress. But because this doesn't complete, it doesn't get any new solutions. And I was suffering from that. I could not solve basic problems, and I was stuck in compulsions and all these things. And so I actually went to this woman for my son because he had this physical challenge that nobody was helping him resolve. And I was mad at them too. I was mad. So these women told me, well, why don't you go see this woman? And so I went over there to see this woman. I didn't know anything about her, but she invited me in. I paid my money, and a good amount of money for me at the time, because the mental health crisis was manifesting also in a financial health crisis. So but she had me sit him on this little metal tray, and then she started handing him these vials, and then there was a little needle going off, and it was like I just sat there with like my eyes were saucers, and I was just like, what is she doing? And I need to get out of here. I have stepped into the hole of like woo-woo land, and I need to go. But 3 days later, my son no longer had that problem. She like electromagnetically treated him. I don't even know, but I was just like, holy cow. Night and day different. And so I kept going back, and I told her that I had this diagnosis, and she said, well, here, try this intervention. It will change your life. And so what she handed me was this intervention called emotional freedom techniques, which is a tapping intervention, which is very not therapy. So I was like, this is weird. I like it. Let's have a go. So I went home, and that night I had all these racing thoughts. I was having insomnia that I had because somebody's going to wake up. One of these babies are going to wake up, and I'm not going to get to sleep. I need to go to sleep. You can't sleep like that, right? So my mind was racing, my body was like panicking. And I thought, maybe this is when I should try that thing. They said it's good for this stuff. So I go and I watch my little handout. I don't know what I had, and I start tapping on these points, these meridian points. I don't know the meridian points at the time. I'm just doing what they told me to do. And I finish it and I take this deep, I yawn. And I was like, oh, interesting. So I do it again. I'm following the chart. So it's taking me a little bit longer. And I fell right to sleep. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, holy crap, what else can I try this on? And I just went off. I was like, will it work for this? Yes, it will work for this. Well, I had been hoarding things. I was like standing there looking at it, tapping. And next thing I know, I got rid of it all. And I was like, I was just taking my life back.
Wow.
It's so dramatic, but it was so dramatic.
That was awesome. That's
it was
awesome.
really phenomenal. It was like I would have symptoms. And I was like, this is that OCD stuff they were saying, because that's really the only clue I had, that I just knew something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I wasn't, and thank goodness, I didn't have skill to go bark down and resolve a whole complex trauma disorder. But like this obsessive compulsive disorder seemed very doable for me. And it seemed like my problem that I need to resolve. So I just went through and got rid of all of these challenges. And then I was like, does this work for other people or just me, you know?
Right.
And so I talked one of my relatives into letting me help her through her worm phobia. And she had been phobic of worms for like 40 years. And like the kind of phobia where you're like hysterical, running, screaming, crying, you know, you see the worm, you just worms. Yes.
Wow.
Right. And so I was like, can I see if this thing works? I won't make you touch the worm, I promise. If you want to, you can, you know, you can hold the worm if you want to, and in 10 minutes, she was happily holding a worm. She went,
no.
Yes. And even 10 years later, she was showing me, she was like, look, see, still, can you believe this? This is crazy. But I didn't know what we were doing then. And I thought it was emotional freedom techniques that was so powerful. I thought everybody needs to do this intervention. But what I learned after really taking more trainings in neuroscience farther down the road, that it's really the brain has this capacity to heal. And these interventions that we have, I'm now trained in 4 of them, they work specifically with the part of the brain that blocks healing from happening.
I can't believe there's such a blocks healing from happening. What is that part doing? That's crazy.
No, it's doing its job. It's just wrong. So what happens is this part of us, the thoughts is experiencing, right. But so is our whole body and our senses. So we're getting all this sensory information about stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to come up here to the front of the brain, mix around in this big bowl. I'm sure that's how it happens.
That's exactly how it happens.
That's exactly how. And then this inner cook up in here starts like putting it all together. It's like, ooh, I'm going to make this, and it goes and make these new things for us. The growth process. We grow, and so, but some of this sensory information registers in the brain as pain. And so when it registers as pain, the survival system's whole job is to get us out of pain. And so the survival system's like, oh, we got to get away from that. And so it starts blocking some of this negative or painful sensory information from making it through to the front of our brain. But the body is like, no, I need that to go up there. I need to have this conversation up here. Stop blocking me and let me do this. But that's not a thinking center. It's just, there's pain, get it off. There's pain, get it off. If you can't come through here, it's pain, get it off. Right. So that part of the brain, so this part and our prefrontal cortex, our thinking center, is trying to make this connection, and the survival system's in the middle saying no. And so, we don't have a lot of success with influencing that part of our brain because it's not a thinking center. So we try to logic and reason with it. It doesn't care. No. We try to avoid it. We try to do all these things, but it's really smart. I mean, it's dedicated to keeping us alive. And so, but in this case, it's blocking us, from our own system. And so what we know now is that this part of the brain, because it is so, it takes its job of protecting the body so seriously, that's what it cares about. So now we can start speaking to that part of the body, that part of the brain, through the body. So we can start sending messages. Hey, we're cool. We're calm. Why don't we go ahead and let healing happen? Come on over here with us, unblock the healing pathways. And we engage it with these interventions for 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And because this whole neuroception and our sensory information is like run through electricity, a lot of electrical functions.
Right.
When we're holding the survival system out of the way for 30 seconds, that's a lot of electrical information that can pass through. So now there's all this communication happening. And then this part of the brain's like, oh my gosh, that's great. And then it's like the body is like, oh my gosh, I've been dying to tell you that for like 30 years.
Girl, you have no idea.
And so all of a sudden you start noticing these symptoms that are like balls in your chest, like the heavy clenching feeling just start dissipating. It's like all this stuck emotion that's in the body just gets to go to the right place. That part of the brain takes it and it's like, we don't need that. This, ooh, that's a golden nugget. Thank you so much for that information. This we don't need. Oh, this is good. And it just finally, this stuff, the body doesn't have to carry it anymore. And so we can actually, so the body's, when we're around that, like for the worms, for instance, right? The body was sending messages, panic. But if we move the survival system out of the way and we send that information, it gets to the front of the brain, it's no longer coming out. So you can be around worms anymore. And this part isn't saying panic anymore. It's just a regular body part.
Oh.
And so once this communication is done, the symptoms are done. So we can resolve the panic attacks, dissociation, anxiety attacks, racing thoughts. All this stuff is happening for a very specific reason. And we think it's happening to kick our behinds and suffer and make us make us live bad. But it's really the body's effort to try and heal itself.
This is crazy.
And so really to resolve massive disorders is just help the body's communication system. Done.
No, that is amazing. Because honestly, I have been working really hard at working out my own like depression, anxiety, stuff like that. I have a different show that I actually work things out on camera. It's actually pretty funny. But I've been hearing actually about EFT tapping a lot lately. So I think that's the universe being like, hey, try this. Hello. But so I want to run through this. So if you're having symptoms of anxiety or depression or traumatic stress,
flashbacks, right? Yep.
All of that stuff.
Irritability, yes, correct.
Tons, lots of it. We all have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
To varying degrees.
Because we all have brains.
Yes, we all have
sensory information that registers as pain in the brain.
Right. Yes. We've all got the thinking part, and we've all got the amygdala back here.
That's right.
Brain, right? So what I'm hearing is that whatever these inputs are coming in, whether it's something that's causing us anxiety or fear or even depression, which is it's another thing. Mm-hmm. The impulses come in, the input comes in, and our little reptilian brain is like, ha!
Yes.
And like, nope, you're not going anywhere.
That's right.
Freak out. It's time to freak out.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then what you're saying is what happens is we do this tapping or whatever these techniques are, and the reptilian brain is like, oh, just chill. Go ahead. And then that can go up into our brain, and our brain can heal itself. That's basically, wow. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And then you can because some of what's going on is that there's so many things going on, but there's this the survival system is it's just like this is bad, right? But after it goes through and it watches the healing happen, this is how I think it happens, right? Yeah. It's like watching, it's like, all this good stuff from this thing that I thought was pain, right? And then pretty soon it starts to everybody's cheering up here. And I think this part writes a survival code to upgrade how the survival system's functioning. And so then this emotion it becomes not a danger to the whole system. So it's like, as we do this over and over again, we can really teach the brain not to be afraid of itself, and also, or not to be afraid of some of these things. And most of us will have one or two emotions that we just don't tolerate. Like that stuff's just not coming through. It happens, I'm running, Yeah. And it's like, that shows we don't have a healthy way of being with that emotion. We don't have a healthy way of processing that emotion yet. So we can use these interventions to manually walk that through the brain's healing process. And once we get that completed, your brain is like, that was different. Never did this before. Right. And then we go do it again. And now it's like, 2 times. And then we do it again. And it's like 3 times, And so then it's like, and then you keep doing it and the brain's like, move out of the way. Let me try this, It's trying it and it's not very good at the beginning. So you help it, right? You're using your intervention to help it through. And pretty soon it's getting smarter and better at this. And then pretty soon it does what it's supposed to do, which is process these emotions outside of your awareness.
That is so cool.
Right. And most of the stuff that's in our awareness with panic attacks and racing thoughts and, some stomach aches and headaches and all of these things that are from emotional distress are in our awareness because the brain really cannot do what it needs to do with it. It's like, hey, help. Hey, can you help me? And because we're like,
right?
It's not getting any help. And then because most of our world's like, that looks bad. I'm sorry. I don't even know, it's like, this is so exciting because it's a very simple process that we can help our brains with anytime, anywhere. And there's other interventions. If you don't like tapping on this stuff, you try a different one. Try thought-filled therapy. I love energy medicine. I'm trained in these. And EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's a really popular intervention. It's not a great fit for everyone all the time, but it's really powerful when it is the right fit. So we have ways we're gathering more and more. And like, I really start people with emotional freedom techniques because it's so easy to learn, and there's no known side effects. And when I give it to people, it's like they can take this simple tool and have a powerful intervention. And now I can tell them, hey, okay, between sessions, you're going to work on this. And when you come back here, we're going to work on this. So now we're dividing the labor, right? And that's really what I learned along the way was first we just do some symptoms. And then after the symptoms were gone, I was like, yeah, but they still have this disorder. So then I was like, okay, let's go back in and let's see if we can resolve the disorder. And then, yeah, okay, you can. And then I was like, can we do this faster? And that's when I began dividing it, because who wants to live like this?
No one.
Who? I don't.
No.
And so I'm gonna treat people how I want to be treated. Give me the fastest route. Let's hit this with this. So I really developed a process to help people resolve these disorders in 2 to 6 months instead of 2 to 6 years. And it's a pretty intense pace, and it's really, you need to be the right person for that. But if somebody takes the same process and does it at a slower pace, they're still looking at a year recovery, perhaps 2, if they really need a slower route. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I did develop it with people like me in mind.
That's what we do though, right? We develop, we're like, this is what I wish had existed for me. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yep. I hear you.
Yeah. And with no roadmap, I resolved my own disorder in about 3 years. There was a lot of research involved. Like I was like, spying on other EFTers back in the day. We weren't like a unified group. It was about 13 years ago. And I did not know how to connect with them. And I was grateful to have a tool that actually created some change in my life. And so that's 3 years isn't bad. It's not a bad time frame.
Especially if you've been living in it with your whole life. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Some of us have.
Yeah. And about every 10 hours of this work, and I have people do about 2 hours a day helping their brain. They watch, I show them what to look out for, and then I have them using the interventions during those moments to help their brain, give their brain the support it needs in the moments when it needs it. And so, I have them do that. So that's about 14 hours a week, which would take 2.5 months, 3.5 months working with a therapist weekly, right?
Wow,
but this way, empowering them to learn how to do this for themselves and giving them the tools, they can get that done 14 hours in a week. But every 10 of these hours, you feel like massive shifting. You feel like you feel more free, you feel less symptomatic, you feel more calm, less stress. And it really makes a big difference. As a matter of fact, around the 20, 30 hour mark, I have to be like, okay, don't stop right there. And people are like, good. I'm like, no, we got more work to do. Let's go. You don't want this stuff to come back. We got to do the rest of the layers. So, yeah.
Come back.
So I really let people know, but it's like and when I was doing this myself, I would take massive breaks because I'm like, I'm living the life. I have like some healthy brain function going on. But yeah, but there was more to do, and it would sneak back up on me. And
Yeah.
And not that there's, when you're done forever. You still, it's great to take care of your brain. There are always times your brain will run into something that it's like, I don't know what to do with this. I can't compute, and it's a great time to be able to throw in an intervention and really kind of crank the wheels of brain function,
Yeah.
Let me help. So, anyway, but once you pull yourself out of a disorder, you basically have a master's in, this is, also my own university, right? But
Right.
you have a master's in resolving symptoms,
It's incredible.
So,
That's amazing. So so I am listening and hearing, you can resolve symptoms, but not resolve the disorder.
yeah.
Okay. So what does that look like?
Well, it looks like what I did that night with the insomnia, which I never had that problem again, mind you. That was awesome. I resolved a symptom, but I still was obsessive, and I was still massively dealing with obsession and compulsive disorder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That is really cool. That is super cool. We're gonna have to talk more. This is I don't know if you know, but this is the start of a good friendship. Just letting you know. That's awesome. Okay, so you've got EFT. There's just so much to talk about here. I have you heard of Michael Singer?
I think I have, but do tell.
I'm just obsessed with him right now. He wrote a book called The Untethered Soul, and he's done it.
Oh, yes.
So I'm in the process of working on healing myself, a lot of emotional work myself. So he's like, his teachings are something I use a lot, and now I'm a part of a sort of Facebook group that talks about EFT, and I'm like, what is this EFT? And now you're like, it's EFT, and I'm like, okay, EFT, gonna do it. But yeah, it's really cool to hear. That gives me hope too, what I mean? And I hope that gives anybody else out there watching hope as well. I mean, we all have our own things, but when you have a disorder, a mood disorder, and you've got depression, you've got anxiety, you've got trauma, those things can get overwhelming, and it can feel like there's no hope,
Absolutely.
And that's what I try to do, is reach out to the people who feel like there's no hope. Be like, no, there is. Keep trying.
Right.
So I'm just really grateful for the work that you do. That's really awesome that you help people, because that's amazing that people are in dark places, and they need people to show them light.
And what's interesting about this no hope thing? There's something true about the truth will set you free, right? And if for us to be able to say, I feel like there's no hope, that's a specific, your body is sending that message. That is actually going on. We're not supposed to talk about that. We're not supposed to talk about that. Pretend we're not, right? We're survival systeming, and that's what our culture does. But gosh, if you can take a moment and just let that lack of hope sensation actually get to the front of the brain, your brain really resolves it. And a lot of times it just stops. And then it'll come back later, and over here. Yeah, that's not, and it really can become part of your team, not something that has to shut you down. It can be something that's our emotions are part of our life navigation system.
Right.
They are not there for no reason. They're here to help us. But when they register as pain, just like in that movie, Feelings, right? The sad little guy was like, everyone kept pushing him to the back. We found out like the sadness was able to relate to others. They was able to really
In and Out.
In and Out. Thank
you. That's a great movie.
I love it. I'm like, I think that was wonderful, but it's like that stuff has a hard time coming to the front and getting an audience in the brain.
Yeah.
For many reasons that are cultural and internal. Because it can feel like being punched in the gut. You want me to go talk to that person? But that's the stuff we can be tapping on. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to talk to them, right? And then you watch that leave, and then you're like, maybe I could have a conversation with them. And then your brain will be like, yeah, but this bad thing will happen. Yeah, no, I don't want to. And you're tapping through that. And the next thing you know, it's like, I could handle that. What are you talking about? it's funny, like you'll see these shifts over and over and over again. And so it's like, but after a while of having a positive outcome with this hopelessness, because the emotions are supposed to come and go, but when they can't make it through the brainstem and get where they're supposed to go, they come in over again. And you're like, I can't handle this anymore.
Right.
But it's like all of a sudden that door opens and that stuff gets through. And this guy becomes a messenger. Like all the people in the front here are like, tell us. They're not afraid of this part. They're like, tell us what's going on. Why all the hopelessness? Have you seen what's going on back there? It's awful. And I can't stand it because, and then you're tapping through that stuff too. And then this little hopeless guy goes back and is quiet until the next time, till it has another report, right, to give.
Right.
And there are some parts of our system, we don't want to hear reports from you.
Yeah.
Okay. But they are real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not, if you were on a boat and you didn't want to listen to your water guy because they always come up with the attitude, we don't have any more water. You're going to have, if you stop talking to that one, there's a problem.
Yeah. Yep. You are not going to get any water.
You're not going to get any water. And just like, why is your system so afraid of hopelessness? What's up with that? If it's just an emotion, it's just some neurological firing.
Right. But
it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you're
going to die.
It feels like you're going to die. Right.
That's one of the things that I've become aware of. Like, even when, logically, you're not going to die in a situation. You're like, no, of course I don't think I'm going to die. No. Then like all of a sudden you're like, yeah, but my body thinks it's going to die. I'm
being choked. I feel like I'm suffocating. I feel like my heart's going to explode and like be burst open. I feel like, those like rejection pain is processed in the brain the same way as being stabbed in the gut. There, on a neurological level, there is no difference.
Holy crap. I had no idea. Because that's what it feels like.
That's what it feels like. And so it's another thing to say, okay, I'm being stabbed in the gut. Let me just tap on it. But really that's the solution, because it's information that needs to go up. Because let me tell you, you want the front of your brain realizing you're being stabbed in the gut, not just the survival system.
Right.
Because if you're really being stabbed in the gut, which you're not, but if you were, you would want to create a plan that actually worked, and the front of the brain creates those plans.
Right.
They analyze all the situations. They look at it from multiple perspectives. I mean, that's your executive function. It gives you solutions that include your morals and your values. The back of the brain is just caveman. Let's thunk it. That might be your child, right? That might be your business. That might be like the things that you're just going to go thunk are really important to you. And then you come out of that brain state and your prefrontal cortex turns back on. And then you're like, what have I done?
Yes. What happened? Where am I?
Right. And that's because that part of the brain it's not the smart part. It's not
right.
If it's the one that's like, oh, this is for me, this is my message, I'm going to respond, and it just overrides everything. And now you're doing survival stuff when you want to be doing the front of your brain, really using some tapping and say, hey, why don't you come with me? Sit down over here. The survival system is the part of the brain that's very much like what we do with babies. They start crying and then we go pick them up, right? We start using body interventions. We start
right,
because we're actually working with their survival system and we don't know that, right? And so we're actually teaching their survival system, you can get dysregulated, and then here, hey, let me calm you down. And then all that stuff that's dysregulating it gets to go to the front of the brain, and things start wiring, and we're helping the baby process things. And so even though we get older, that part of the brain doesn't change. It still is listening to that. That's its language. We could actually go pick up grown folks and rock them if they'd let us, and we'd actually be working with their survival system.
Cool.
I don't recommend that.
I do it to myself every once in a while. I'm lying in bed like, it's okay. It's okay.
Yes. And you're working with that part. And that's it. It really is where the magic happens. Because everybody's on the same team, except for that one has a different job. And so it'll go off and it overrides all other function, because survival is the highest need. Right. And so if it gets active, it's shutting the thinking center down. It's like about around 20% function. And the rest of that function is for the purpose of surviving.
Really interesting.
So you can't even trust your thoughts, because the thoughts are now in obedience to the survival system that has the only thing it wants is your survival. It doesn't even care about anybody else's survival in those moments.
Right.
Which is, how it works. shame or not shame. If you want to care about other people's survival and other people's well-being or thriving even, you got to get to the part of the brain that works that stuff out, and that's the front. And so all of this information, we want to deliver that. And then all the things are created from there.
I love it. All right, Rachel, tell us how people, if they want to get in touch with you, how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I would, my website's the portal to all the things. I hand people interventions in my email list. You want to learn interventions, not just emotional freedom techniques, but other ones, you join my email list. And then I have my Facebook group is on there. You can join that. My YouTube channel is there. So, and that's at rachelmccloud.com. And I'm going to spell that because my name is spelled Rachelle. So it's RACHELLEMCCLOUD.com. And so that's really the place to be for all things Rachel.
Thank you so much, Rachel. This has been such an informative, interesting interview. I'm so excited to have met you, and we're friends now.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Thank you.
All right, everybody else out there, I hope you got as much out of this as I did. And I want to remind you all that everybody has a tale to tell. So what is yours?